Say what you like about the Fathers for Justice campaign, as they really do seem to know how to get noticed. Batman on the balcony at Buckingham Palace, purple powder thrown at Mr. Blair in the House of Commons. They put themselves in the headlines, and they are now waiting for the results of a government consultation on the way the law treats parents after divorce. So, will the current system change as a result? Gillian Hargreaves reports.
In a tiny flat in the East End of London, the angry dads are plotting. They're not going to storm Buckingham Palace today, but they are planning to embarrass the government.
Yeah, I think the boys have turned up.
Reinforcements arrive for a last-minute legal pep talk.
Hey!
Last time, he dressed up as Batman.
Usual rules and regs of an f4j demo. No bad language. If you do get arrested for any reason, which is possible, obviously please bear in mind it's strictly no comment.
And then the campaigners' Fathers for Justice are off to demand more rights for fathers in the family courts. When parents can't settle their custody disputes, they end up here, finding their way through the legal jungle that is the family court system. The costs can be prohibitive, and it can take months and months to get a contact order to see a child. Even then, it doesn't guarantee regular outings with the kids. Fathers for Justice might be vocal, but they represent a small number of parents. Only 10% of separating couples ever go to court to settle a dispute about the future of their children. But the numbers are increasing, and half of those fathers return to court because contact orders aren't honoured by some mothers.
We are quite clear that there are significant problems in the way in which the system works to help families reach agreement in the interest of their child when their relationship breaks down.
What are those sorts of problems that you've come across?
Some of the problems are that when cases go to court, the courts are not the best place for resolving the disputes. They take a long time, they're adversarial, and they don't necessarily help to shift the behaviour of the parents, which is the central issue.
So in the next few weeks, Lord Filkin will introduce some changes he hopes will reduce the number of custody battles.
Well, good morning. Thank you very much for coming this morning. The meetings are set up to reflect what we know, and that is that you are the best people to make arrangements, if you can.
The government wants to introduce this across the country. In Essex, the Children and Family Court Advisory Service, or CAFGAS, deliberately tries to get parents to sort out their own problems.
We try and avoid people going into the courtroom in the first place. They see one of our family court advisors who will sit down with the parents in a room and will try and reach an agreement as to what's best for their children in that situation. And over the year we see around about 700 parents in Essex, and 500 to 600 of those go away with an agreement about what will happen about their child.
But when conciliation fails and the parents decide to go to court, it's up to CAFGAS to find out from the children which parent they ought to live with. It's a long, emotionally draining process. So in future, when parents absolutely insist they want their day in court, the whole process will be speeded up to avoid unnecessary emotional pain. And there'll be greater enforcement when parents don't fulfil their obligations. Mothers will have to pay fathers compensation if they deliberately scupper his plans. And the courts might make both of them take anger management or parenting classes. And every estranged parent will have to watch a video about the pitfalls of legal action.
In the courts, we learn from psychiatrists and psychologists that children can suffer terribly when their parents separate. Sometimes it can be difficult for you to focus upon the needs of the children.
Although its stiff tone could well be a turn-off.
But we're pretty strong that we've identified the main changes to the system that are necessary. We've trawled research and experience around the world on this. We've talked to an enormous number of experts on it, and we think that we've got a powerful set of changes which will help to shift the behaviour of the parents in the interest of the child.
But that won't be enough to satisfy some angry dads. The Fathers for Justice demonstrators are picketing a conference on family breakdown. Top judges and government officials are inside that building.
The Green Paper is an apology for the abuse of these children's rights. What we'd like to see is a legal presumption of contact to give children the right in law to see both parents and both grandparents, a 50-50 presumption of contact between both those parents, so mum and dad are treated equally in the eyes of law. And what that means is it might be a starting point, it might be a 60-40 split, it might be 70-30, it might be 90-10. It does not mean it has to be exactly 50-50, but it does mean that both parents are treated equally, and that's what we're fighting for.
So there's a rather chilly divide between the government and Fathers for Justice over this. And yet politicians realise that putting family at the heart of politics could be a vote winner at the next election. And the Tories have their own views on what they'd do if they were in power.
Well, we would introduce this legal presumption for co-parenting, which would mean that both parents would know that they couldn't use the child as a weapon, as a prize against the other parent. And hopefully by doing that and by having early intervention and mediation, we should see far fewer cases actually going to the point of court because the contact has been denied.
I think the Conservative Party has adopted a far more intelligent position. They've adopted many of the things that we're campaigning for.
He's wrong about that. Most politicians are very clearly distancing themselves from these sorts of tactics, however heartfelt they are.
I do this for my children!
We haven't hijacked Fathers for Justice ideas, and I don't condone the activities that they indulge in to highlight their case at all. And in fact, as I've said before, I think they've been in danger of damaging their case. But there is a genuine issue there. There are a lot of other fathers groups that have simply been putting their case in the normal way of things, lobbying members of Parliament.
All we are saying is give dads a chance.
The government will continue to reject calls for both parents to have a legal assumption of equal access. The government says that the starting point must be the best interests of the child and not necessarily parental rights. It hopes that its new measures will draw the anger out of the whole debate about fathers' rights. But from the look of determination on some of these men's faces, they won't go away anytime soon.
Gillian Hargreaves reporting there.